for Fanboy Explosion, a podcast of awesomeness, a chance to grow your mind. Your fingers are now playing Fanboy Explosion.
Hello and welcome back to Fanboy Explosion. I am Seth Turner, joined by the beautiful, beautiful Cameron Cook. Say hello, Cameron.
Hello.
And it is Friday, March the 6th, which means it's time for another patch notes. We're going to recap the week, and
Yeehaw!
boy, was it a week. We had GDC was this week. PAX is going on right now as you are listening to this, if you're listening to it the day it comes out or through the weekend. But first big chunk of news for this week. But first, I'm going to start it by telling you about a message I got from Xbox today. It truly broke my heart. And by broke my heart, I mean it didn't actually break my heart. It was I got a message that said the Pizza Hut Xbox app is shutting down.
Okay, can I ask? Okay, so this is an Xbox One app, right?
No, this was a 360 app.
It's a 360 app.
Yes.
But you got a note. Were you on your 360?
Yeah, so I signed into it once. And I got an
the app.
Xbox
Okay.
Live notification. Well, the messages are all shared, so like between 360 and one. So it was like, the Pizza Hut app is going away, so go to pizzahut.com if you want to get your pizza. And I was like, I completely forgot that was a thing that even existed. So if you like to order pizza using your game console, you can no longer do it.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I downloaded that app.
Did you ever sign in with your Pizza Hut account or anything? Because that might be how it was tracked.
A Pizza Hut account?
Yeah, dude. I use my Pizza Hut account.
I have a Pizza Hut account. Okay. But I'm pretty sure I distinctly remember being at your apartment and we were going to order pizza and I wanted to order it through the app, but you wouldn't let me. And so you just did it.
That app was dumb.
Online.
That app was dumb.
So I think that was the one time where we did that.
That was probably it. So
it was my fault. I'm sorry.
That's
that
okay.
You had to read that message.
I get excited when I get messages from Xbox because
you're like, oh, here's a free $1,000 to spend on the Xbox store.
Like,
so
you never know what it may be. But this time it was like, hey, the Pizza Hut app is going on.
Oh, you're in the Halo 6 beta. Oh, I am? Neat. That's great.
But yeah, so if you like ordering pizza through
interesting.
your game console, today is a sad day because that shit's going away. So.
Okay, I can't believe this is the GDC 2015 podcast, and your lead-in to the week's news is, attention, the Pizza Hut app is shutting down. Let's just let that soak in.
I really want to. I want to hit people with the hard-hitting news first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's some hard-hitting. This is our next batch of hard-hitting news.
Okay.
Is that they announced Shovel Knight is going to be coming to Xbox One.
Woo woo.
We're both we both really enjoy Shovel Knight. You actually just finished it.
With help from you.
The other day when we were hanging out, I had to help you with the boss run.
Senpai, please help me, Senpai.
So we're both Shovel Knight fans. I love Shovel Knight. Excited to play the expansion they're coming out with soon. But it's going to be coming to Xbox One with the addition to the game. I know like the PS4 got didn't they get like Kratos or something?
Kratos.
Right? Is that right? So the Xbox One version is getting Battletoads, which has already been rumored to be like being rebooted for Xbox One. So now Battletoads are in Shovel Knight on Xbox One. Rumors are flying. They even teased when they made the announcement. They're like, "Where might the Battletoads show up next?" Like wink, 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 wink.
Yeah.
So
that's
I think. So that's your second dose of hard-hitting news so far.
Battletoads. I'm sorry, but if we get to E3 and there's no Battletoads, I'm going to be highly, highly surprised.
I mean, your whole life will be a lie.
And I feel like
at that point.
Microsoft is about to make, like, for a long time, each console has its own, like, mascot. You know, like Nintendo has its thousands of...
Please tell me Xbox's mascot is not going to be
Like
Battletoads.
Xbox wants their mascots to be Master Chief, Steve from Minecraft, and the Battletoads. Like... I feel like that's what, if you were to ask Phil Spencer, what 3 faces do you want on Xbox? I feel like those 3 make it really well. So we'll see. I mean, E3's right around the corner, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
I have to say, that
What
news
else
is pretty
came out?
rocking. You know what else is rocking?
Please don't.
Rock Band 4 is coming back, baby.
Yeah, now technically this is a PAX East piece of news. They announced this
News is news.
yesterday on Thursday. Now, I will just say that we talked about this in the past couple podcasts when the rumors were saying Guitar Hero and Rock Band were coming back. We exactly talked about they need to do this, and that is what they're actually going to do. Your song library is going to be carrying over, which I don't know if we talked about that specifically, but we talked about them just releasing one game and them supporting that game with all the new songs and DLC for the rest of this console cycle instead of making multiple Rock Band games. That's exactly what they've said they're going to be doing. You're going to be able to import all your songs from the older ones. The old peripherals, the old guitars and stuff are going to work on the new game. Yeah, it sounds awesome. That's good news.
Oh yeah, and they said they're getting back to basics, so no more keyboard. It's going to be focused on vocals, bass, guitar, and drums. And they said the vocals are going to change as well, like something about the way the vocals work. And the one thing they said that was really interesting, I want to get your thoughts on this. They said they're working to make each playthrough more unique to you as a player. And my interpretation of this is like when you do the drum fills, like as a drummer, you could just play whatever. Like some people would just go like dooga 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 dooga, but then you'd have like other people who would be like dooga 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 doo, like do some kind of
they'd make their
own like
thing,
little drum beat in there. And I always thought that was cool, and I was wondering if they're going to do something like that. Is that what you think they're talking about when they talk about uniqueness?
Well, now Rock Band, I mean, they've had like a single player mode, right? When you make a band and you get fans and stuff. Like maybe that's what to me it seems like when they're talking about kind of individualizing that experience, maybe they're talking about kind of like the single player portion or something. I can
see that.
I don't really know.
Okay, that makes sense too.
Or like the campaign mode, I guess is what we'll call it. The the tour mode or whatever. But I don't know. But I'm glad that it's coming back. I think they're going about it in a way that is not insulting to consumers who have already bought all this stuff and have been fans of the game. It's very much with them in mind. And I think it'll be a good comeback. I think Guitar Hero would be wise to follow a similar approach, and if they don't, then I think people will probably be turning to Rock Band saying, well, I already have all these guitars, I already have all this music, why would I buy Guitar Hero where I have to rebuy all this stuff? Now we don't know what Guitar Hero is planning yet, but I feel like now with this announcement they're almost forced to do something similar where all your stuff will work, all your songs will carry over, and if they don't, then that's a big negative for going there.
You got between now and E3. Do it.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we'll definitely hear it at E3, if not sooner. Who knows what will be in store? There's always leaks and things like that. So, but that was pretty big news. Let's see. Well, there's a double dose. We got some sad news. Maxis Studios shut down.
That really sucks, man.
So they were responsible. They did some work on Sims. Sims is kind of handled by its own studio now, so it's not technically Maxis. It's its own thing. But Maxis was responsible for Sims. They're responsible for SimCity. And the latest SimCity, which had a lot of problems when it came out. I think that was kind of, even though I think it was a good game, it just has so many technical problems at the outset that people couldn't recommend it, and I think it was just kind of a nail in the coffin for them, and so they got shut down after they've been around a long time. So it's definitely sad to see them go. EA axing another studio. Yep. And what was really weird is that they announced this during GDC.
Yeah.
Or not announce is the wrong word. They didn't announce it. It was obviously people found out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the week where developers are sharing with ideas and sharing their, all their new games and like collaborating with each other and like this big kind of developer get together, and then that's the week EA decides to kill one of their like oldest and most prestigious studios. Pretty weird to me. That's pretty weird timing.
That's I mean, as far as that goes, like if I were them, I would be out on that show floor, like looking for jobs. Like, I guess if you are going to be in a spot like that, like it's good to go ahead and just have everyone in a building together, like see what's out there. Like you could, I imagine there's plenty of that type of networking that goes on at those events. So maybe they can find some work.
Well, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was just weird timing. Very weird timing.
Yeah, and I think one more super duper sad thing that happened this week was the passing.
Well, technically it was last week, but we didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about it. But the passing of Leonard Nimoy, very, very sad day for everyone, I think, that has ever, considered ever watched Star Trek, ever considered themselves a geek. He was a really important man. And it was very sad to see him go. So,
yeah, actually, I wrote a little bit about some of that stuff as it was happening, like Star Trek Online. This is actually really cool. Star Trek Online, that's the free-to-play Star Trek MMO. They actually erected 2 in-game memorials for him. Like when the news broke, like a large group of players, I think it was around 1,000-something people, they all gathered on planet Vulcan, which is Spock's homeworld. And they all gathered there, and they like saluted and they like paid their respects around this fountain on Vulcan. And the developers of the game, they had plans to do like a memorial, and they decided to put a statue of Spock or Leonard Nimoy, doing the Vulcan salute at that spot where players gathered.
That's awesome.
And it says, "Live long and prosper." And then there's that same statue is on another planet. It's on New Romulus. And that one says, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few." And each of them have like a plaque that commemorates Leonard Nimoy, and as well as Gene Roddenberry and some other people who have been associated with Star Trek who have passed on. So that was really cool. It's very sad to see him go. But it's, like in Star Trek Online, this universe he helped create, like he's gonna live there forever until the servers go down. Like anytime players go to these planets, they're gonna see that, and they're gonna remember. And I mean, he's already immortalized in Star Trek.
Oh yeah, his legacy is concrete for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, everyone's going to remember him. I mean, he was an icon, and, he was an inspiring person to a lot of people, so it was definitely a sad week.
Yeah, I remember I read his biography when I was in high school. That was one of the biographies I read.
Now, which one did you read? Did you read I Am Not Spock, or did you read I Am Spock?
I think it was I Am Spock.
Yeah. That was like the second one.
Yeah.
Because he wrote one where it's like he was just talking about how he is like more than just that one character. And then he came back and kind of wrote that other biography where he was kind of more like he more embraced it.
Yeah, he never about it, but he talked he talked about his whole life. I remember it was kind of like there was a section in the middle where he talked a lot about Star Trek, but yeah, it was an interesting read, and I'm really glad I got to read it. Especially considering now, if you are interested in his life, I remember it being a very, very good read. You can check it out. So, I Am Spock. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's on a top list somewhere now, considering. But really great man. It's sad to see him go.
All right, so we're gonna move on to. This is something we talked about. If you listen to our Steam discussion,
oh yeah,
we talked a lot about what Steam was planning, and GDC is really where we got to finally hear some concrete news and details about Steam OS, Steam machines, and Valve's VR platform, which they're going to be rolling out.
The Vive.
So I'll say, Seth, you are the we like Valve, but you're probably the bigger Valve person, so I want to hear your thoughts. They unveiled their VR machine, as well as some price points for the controller, the new updated Steam controller, as well as the Steam machines. What did you think? How did Valve fare with all their announcements?
I think that Valve is doing their same thing of like they're carving their own path. I've talked about this before, but Microsoft is becoming a viable threat to their business model, just because of the nature. Like, if you watch that Microsoft GDC press event they did, like, you can tell that Phil Spencer is like, "Hey, developers, bring your apps over here, host them on the Microsoft Store, and you get cross-buy, cross-platform, all this stuff."
Yeah, they talked a lot about cross between Xbox and Windows 10.
And as a developer,
be
you're
really
dumb to ignore that, both those markets, being able to tap into PC and, Xbox. It's not wise to ignore that as an opportunity. But then on the other hand, Steam has such a large, I would like to say it has a larger install base, but not really, because Windows is the largest install base. So it's, it's going to be really hard. But no, as far as Steam is definitely they're trying to move forward with Steam OS. Steam Link, I think, is that device that's going to be like the streaming stick or streaming box equivalent. That sounds really interesting. Again, I'm not sold on streaming games. Sorry, but internet's not good enough. Wireless networking is not good enough in most cases. But
yeah, I would agree with that.
So
I'm not super. Excited
I'll wait and see. But the Steam controller, I think that's the best Steam controller they could do right now. Like the original one was a huge step away from traditional controllers. The final model has still has the little pads, the little touch pads on them, but it has the left one. You can tell they have like an up, down, left, right. So they're trying to make it more D-pad like. But I think that's all really cool. They're doubling down on Steam OS, which, some people may say is dumb. But then again, you go on Steam right now and they have a huge sale going on for Steam OS compatible games, both now and in the future. And there's big people on there. There's Shadow of Mordor, just won Game of the Year at GDC. There's Batman Arkham Knight, Witcher 3. Those are like big upcoming games that are going to be Steam OS and in that sense, Linux compatible. So they're making a gamble. They're going to gamble on it. Fortunately, they have a dedicated user base. Now, I have to say that upon seeing the Steam machines themselves, I hope they're not doubling down on that. I don't have.
Well, did you see all, like, they're all on, if you haven't seen them yet, they're all on Steam. Everything, all the Steam machines and the controller, that all has like a product page on Steam with price points and all that good stuff. So have you looked at that? Because they vary greatly in price. Like the Alienware one is, I think, like $470 or something. So kind of like console price. But there are ones that are more than like $2,000. There are some super expensive ones, which is, well, I mean, I guess that's the point, though.
It is to have. If you're not going to build one of those yourself, get ready to pay. But at first I was optimistic. I'm always optimistic when I hear about something new. But once I start getting facts, that's when, I actually start to form a real opinion. And right now the facts, like you say $470 is like console price. Hell no, dude. Like I can buy an Xbox right now for $315. I can buy a PlayStation 4 with a year of plus.
Okay, but if it was a year ago when the PS4 and the Xbox came out, like Xbox was $500, PS4 was $400. That's in between them. That's console price.
I guess
they're pricing it as a console.
Yeah, but if you're competing against current consoles, like, you have to take that into account. But again, I don't think they're competing as far as price is concerned, because this stuff is up to $2,000. Some are even $5,000. I don't know what market is going to buy those, because honestly, the people who are going to spend $5,000 on a computer are going to build it themselves. Like, that's just, and they're not going to spend $5,000 doing it. They're going to spend like $2,000 doing it.
I was going to say, I don't even know how you could spend $5,000. I mean, maybe I'm dumb, but I've always heard like you can build like a really good gaming PC for well under $2,000.
Well, it depends on.
So some of those
you can buy you could probably dump $1,000 just into a graphics card if you're buying like the
that's true,
NASA quality graphics card. But I still don't. The more I hear about Steam machines, the less I understand who they're for. Like, who are you catering to? And especially with all these different brands rolling one out, like they're creating competition in a market I don't think needs competition. Like one or two people could do fine and populate that.
Like they're creating competition amongst themselves.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna sell like almost none of these. I mean, it's a Linux machine, and there's a lot of people that love Linux, but I would say Linux is the future. But the difference is over the past year, Microsoft has done more amazing things than I could ever imagine that they do. So I don't think Microsoft's going anywhere as far as an primary OS, and so it's strange. And if you remember the Piston, the very first Steam machine they talked about like 2 years ago, they backed out of the Steam deal and Steam OS because of the Linux deal. They said, Linux is not the machine or is not the platform for games. Windows is the platform for games. We want to provide Windows on our machines. So that's why they backed out. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Steam has a lot of steam.
No, stop. I'm actually pretty because it's interesting because I was not very enthusiastic about Steam machines, but now as I actually think about it and I see these price points for like I'm just gonna use the Alienware one, which is like the $470 one as a price point, because like I play stuff on PC, but I've never had a super good PC. That's why I always buy consoles. It's just simpler and easier, and I don't have to worry about anything. And to me, I mean, that's basically what I think these Steam machines are. It's just like, okay, you play your Steam library. Your Steam library becomes, and Steam becomes a console. You don't need if I didn't have an Xbox One, I could just buy all these new games that are coming out. I could buy Batman Arkham Knight. I could buy Witcher 3. I could buy them on Steam, and I would have this Steam machine that I'm assuming, would be very comparable to a PS4 or Xbox One. I would be able to run all these games fine. I wouldn't have to worry about any of this stuff, and that would just be my console. With Steam and the communities of Steam and all that stuff integrated in. That sounds pretty cool, honestly. Now, I already have there's not a ton of just like PC exclusive stuff that I want to play. And I already have an Xbox One, so I don't know if I'm super interested in buying a Steam machine to play like the latest AAA games and things like that. I mostly play indie stuff on my PC. But I kind of see the point now. But the point I would be one of those people who is going to be buying the $500 one, and the console price one, not these. I don't much, like you said, I don't much understand the thousands of dollar ones. Those make no sense to me. I don't know what the market for that is.
Yeah.
If they're trying to compete with consoles, make a couple Steam machines that are very comparable to consoles at a comparable price point and like let people choose. But yeah, these like $3,000, $5,000 ones, I have no clue who those are for. Like what you're doing with your computer, I don't know. Hopefully those can run Witcher 3 at maximum graphics, because that's the only thing you'd get out of it.
Well, I think you'd be buying for the longevity of it. It's a $2,000 PC this year, is a $1,000 one next year, and then $750 the next year. So that would.
That's true. Now all this stuff comes out in November. Also, well, I don't know if all the Steam machines come out in November. Some of them are coming out in November. The Steam controller is coming out in November. Steam Link is coming out in November. Now, one thing you didn't talk about, which I think is probably their biggest news, is their VR headset.
Well, yeah, the Vive. I wanted to get to that.
The Vive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did you think about that? From what I've heard, it blows other VR headsets out of the water at this point.
I would imagine so. Simply because Valve is a master of partnerships. They understand that they can't do it all, and they chose HTC for this. And HTC is the company that's producing this headset, and they're an amazing tech company. And I know that as far as hardware is concerned, they're top notch. But this, I have to say, of all the headsets I've seen so far, with the exception of HoloLens, because this is a totally different product. The Vive is hands down the most exciting VR headset I've seen, not just because of the headset itself, but because of the input of I think their controllers that they're using for your hands.
Well, yeah, it's similar to like the Move controllers that they're bundling with Project Morpheus. Also, Morpheus, they announced that's Sony's VR headset. That's coming out 2016.
Yeah.
So I think actually they will be probably the first commercially like widely available headset on the market. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're gonna beat. Now they didn't say when in 2016, so I guess it's possible Oculus and some other stuff could become widely available in 2016. But from the looks of it, it looks like Sony's gonna be the first out of the gate. But yeah, just reading about the Valve headset, I've never used one, so I can't really like convey.
Yeah, we can't say for sure.
I can't speak like super knowledgeably about all this stuff. VR is still a very new thing to us and to me. But from what I've read, they've solved some like fundamental problem where it just like it very much feels like it is you, like a 1-to-1. Like I move my hand moves. I move my head moves. There's not a delay. Like the screen is much nicer. Just the tracking is better. Everything I've read said this is the headset to beat. Now, of course, there's no price or anything like this. The Valve said that actually this is just going to be the first of this. This is their first like step into VR. But like Steam machines, there are going to be other headsets. There are going to be other partnerships. Like they're doing the thing. I don't really understand what their intentions are, but it'll be interesting. And I think that they've partnered with some, I already know, with some developers for like VR games for their headset. They had several demos at the show. I think we'll go ahead and talk about one of them. They had a Portal demo.
Oh yeah.
For
Cave
I don't
Johnson
think it's
here.
Technically Portal.
Make those checks out.
Yeah,
to
I
cash.
don't think it's technically Portal 3. It's just kind of more of a tech demo. But people said it was really cool, showing off some of the capabilities of the machine. So, I mean, yeah, it was a big week for Valve. Pretty exciting stuff. I think I'll probably buy a Steam controller when it comes out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the controller I think is.
You think you'll buy one?
Yeah, the controller is a definite purchase. Steam machine, probably not. And I'm super excited about VR, but I am still very concerned about that because we're not as consumers. I don't feel like we're asking the right questions. And the number one question every human being should be asking about VR is price, because you're right. They can make
but the reason no one's talking price is because it's so far out. Like these things aren't even going to.
I'm sorry, but 2016 is not far out. Like
that's a whole year, probably more, unless it comes out in January.
Most games take 2 to 3 years to finish.
Likely. So
like at timetable wise, like if you don't have games already ready, like are ready to show, and I'm not talking like, like basic.
Well, yeah, but that's not. We're talking price.
Yeah,
price. It's far out. It's far out for them to be talking about price. When they first announce consoles and things like that, they don't announce price. I will say that I'm not really. I would love to try VR. I don't think it's not something I'm super excited about at this point as just like a kind of average gamer. I'm not thrilled with the idea of strapping a TV to my face and playing for long periods of time. And I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle, is kind of like this social hurdle. Sure, if I'm just going to be in my room by myself for 3 hours, I can strap a TV to my face, but especially when you factor in the motion controls with the hands, and some games require you to walk around and do things like that. That's not something you can do in like a family setting or with other people. It's not something you can do in the background. You have to devote your entire attention to this thing, and you have to have like a designated area to do it. Like, this is my VR. I have literally heard people talking about, I need to set up a VR room. I mean, maybe that's the future. You get the holodeck rolling and you're ready to go. But to me personally, I'm not there yet. I'm not sold on it. But I think obviously there are some really interesting ideas being thrown around. Just to be able to get immersed in that world and become like a character has so much potential, not just for video games, but just for like human beings in general. To like walk in the shoes of other people and do these things. But yeah, price, who knows what the price will be. I mean, Morpheus, I think I remember a quote. They said that they were designing price was not a deciding factor in their development of Morpheus, which to me says it'll be really expensive.
Yeah.
Because they were just trying to make like the best thing possible, and they're not necessarily worrying about how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, well, I
think Oculus would probably be the most affordable when they come out, like when they're all widely available, which sounds kind of strange, but I think that's how it's going to be.
Well, Oculus is past that prototype stage, and they're now like in.
Well, yes, they've been going at it a little longer.
But VR. You say it's interesting ideas, and you're right. It's a lot of interesting ideas. My reservations are, you still haven't shown me a reason that this is better than what we have now. Like, other than just like, oh, it's more immersive. Like, I haven't seen that game that's going to sell that to me. I'm not convinced that thing's going to get in my hands for less than $400. Which, I'm not that market.
I would say you're probably.
I'm not that market. Like, I don't spend thousands of dollars on toys that might help with this.
I don't know, Seth. How many amiibos do you have?
Okay, well, if now if you break it up into small little chunks and sell it to me in $20 at a time, then maybe. But no, and then finally, like, I do not want to be in a, like you said, a VR zone. Like, I don't want to zone out that badly, where I'm putting on this mask and I can't sense the things around me. Like, someone could come into my house. Like, it's just like, and I would never know. It's like that's a weird thing to say, but like, that's, to me, that's just weird, and we need to get past that. And that's a lot of the reason why I'm more optimistic about HoloLens than anything else, because I feel like that's a better step as far as like humans and technology working together. But VR, it's something that we have fantasized about since, science fiction, and, we saw Star Trek with the holodeck. Like, all of these like virtual reality has been something we've fantasized about, but I think when we get there, it's not going to be quite as amazing as everyone lets on to be, and it's going to be a very niche market.
But you have to remember, this is the first step.
Well, yeah, as a first step, I'll give you that. But if this is the first step, it's going to be 5 years before I'll consider this like an actual technology, because it's like, first it's got to come out at its ridiculously high price with no games, and then the early adopters have got to get it, work through the bugs, so then a year or two later, a new version comes out that actually is the real version. By then, you've got a couple of games that are convincing. So that's, 3-4 years before we even begin to talk about this thing as a real peripheral.
But I think it's... I'm not excited for it personally, like right now, but I think, give it 10 years, like this, like the world is going to be VR. Like, it's going to be used for everything. Like, there's going to be so many applications. It's going to be everywhere. Like, there's a reason all these companies are diving in. There's a reason all these super talented and super smart developers are jumping to Oculus, jumping to Valve's VR to work on these things, because like, they seriously think this is the future, and they're gonna make it the future.
Yeah, you're right about that. I'm just gonna continue wearing my somewhat cynical hat until I am told. Like, you tell me all the time that I get optimistic about things way too easily, and I am optimistic about VR, but I feel like at this point, most people, they're going to use it once or twice, think it's cool, and then not really engage with it anymore past that. Don't believe me? Nintendo 3DS. I rest my case. The 3D, how many of you use the 3D on a day-to-day basis? It's a very small percentage. Most people turn it off.
That's okay, but that's a little different. But I see what you mean. Like, to some people it might be a novelty, but to other people, like, it's gonna be, a revolutionary thing. Now, neither one of us have tried it, so we can't really speak.
Yeah, we can't say too much.
Personally, like from personal experience or anything, because we haven't done it, so we haven't had our eyes opened.
But if you ship Half-Life 3 as a VR-only game, I'll slap on the TV screens and I'll let the radiation pour into my retinas.
I don't think that's going to happen. Actually, Kotaku talked about that a little bit. They asked them, hey, what are you doing for Half-Life for VR? And they were like,
That's the universal
Like,
Half-Life response. Like, they have the emergency
they
response
said that,
book.
like, yeah, they've experimented with throwing head crabs and combine, like, in an engine and then strapping on the headset, but is it, like, Half-Life 3 or a game or anything? No. And, like, are they planning on doing that? Like, probably not. But, you know, who knows what we'll see. I think Portal would be actually a really cool VR experience.
That would be the first one, definitely.
I think that would be kind of like the premier thing to sell their headset with, is a Portal game, where, you know, just being in that world and jumping through portals, like you are jumping through portals, that would be pretty surreal.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So that would be really interesting. I'd love to see something like that.
But the question you asked me earlier, I want to get back to it, which was, you know, what did I think about Steam overall? And my opinion of Steam right now is that Steam, in response to what Microsoft is doing, they are trying to become a platform that is like the operating system on your computer. I see that Steam is trying to replace Windows on gamers' machines, at least. Like, they're trying to install this. Like, to me, I'm still a little surprised that Steam OS is like designed exclusively as a living room experience. Like, I could easily see Steam OS being a Linux kernel that you install, and like literally it's like Windows, but it's Steam. Like, you know, there's it
might be at some point,
you know, and things like that. And then at that point it becomes like the OS for gamers, you know, slap that on as the tagline. It's like the OS for gamers. And then they just butt heads straight with Microsoft and the Xbox brand. But yeah, I mean, everything they've announced, the Steam controller is the most realistic, awesome product, and the Vive is the most, we'll see, it looks great, but, you know, let's let it ferment for a little bit product. So, but overall, Steam had a great presence, and you can see the direction that company is heading. So, I'm down with it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably most of the news stuff. Do you want to move into our gaming adventures this week?
Yes. But first, we started watching a TV show.
Okay, yes, we're going to go on a tangent.
We're going to go on a tangent.
Technically, this is not a video game only show, even though that is what consumes 90% of our lives.
So, I was visiting Cameron. We decided that we were going to foray into a new anime, an anime that we'd heard a lot about. The name of this anime is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And let me just tell you that this is probably one of my favorite experiences watching anime in my life. We're not going to spoil anything because I really want people to watch this if you like that type of anime. It's very much a shonen anime, very much shonen is that kind of manly, designed for boys anime, so it's very much in the vein of Dragon Ball Z and One Piece as far as like art direction. It's very muscly, and I wouldn't say One Piece is super that way, but yeah, like definitely like DBZ. But this show, man, just, you want to talk about over the top.
People screaming at all times, ridiculous super attacks, super violent and gory. And I think the most interesting thing that we found about it is that it starts in like the 1800s, and it's like this Downton Abbey anime, but like sibling rivalry, but with like a little bit of supernatural elements. And then that's like the first episode, and then by the third episode, you're like, what is even happening? Yes. Like, you're like, what is it? The escalation of this show. Like, you start on episode 1, and by the time you're at episode 10, you're in like a completely different universe.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even the same thing. It's completely different. And I mean, the only thing that is the same is like the art style, and that it's all like completely over the top. But it's just like it gets so strange so quickly, and it's fantastic. It's just very fun to watch. If you're looking for like, and it's okay. It's good because it's action filled and stuff. It knows that it is completely goofy.
Oh yeah, very tongue in cheek.
Like it knows it is absurd beyond anything you've ever seen before. And so it kind of embraces that while at the same time being really serious sometimes. It's a very strange mixture, but definitely worth watching. We were watching on Crunchyroll, so you can watch it all there.
Yeah.
I we were gonna play the games. There are JoJo Bizarre Adventures, like 2D fighting. There's like a 2D fighting game, which we were actually gonna download and play after we had watched the show, and we hooked up the Xbox 360, and it wasn't on the store anymore.
It's gone.
Which they did. I know they did like an HD remaster of it and put it out. We were gonna download the trial and give it a try, and it had disappeared. I don't know if anyone knows that. I've never seen anyone report on that or anything, but it's not there anymore. It came out in 2012. We're here in 2015, no longer available, so sorry. So that was kind of an interesting little side thing that we discovered.
Yeah, I mean, escalation is the perfect word for that. It just keeps, like, I just finished the second arc, and it hasn't stopped. It just keeps inflating. It's getting bigger and bigger, and
like in that way, I feel like it's kind of like Kill la Kill.
Oh yeah,
Kill la Kill is like the other example I would have of where like you just start at this one point, and each episode it just it builds a tower on top of the other episode until at the end it is like the fate of the universe. And just like it's completely insane, and there's just so much crap happening that it's so crazy and over the top. It's basically that, except there's 60 episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like 60 plus, instead of the 20-something Kill la Kill. So I can only imagine how ridiculous this show is going to get by the end.
It's pretty zany so far, and there's still more to go. But so yeah, that was our anime learning corner for the week. But yeah, let's get to games. Big game.
What's the big game?
Resident Evil Revelations 2.
You mean our favorite?
Our favorite game, not the biggest.
Now we probably don't want to spoil. Are we going to be spoiler free? We both played episode 2. Episode 2 came out.
Yeah, let's dodge spoilers and more just give our impressions so far.
Okay. I can do that.
Save the Barry quotes. We don't want to drop the Barry quotes for people.
There are some good Barry quotes, and I was talking about this with Seth earlier in the week as we finished the episode. And even if you watched our Resident Evil remastered, like HD remake, that Let's Play video we did, we got to this point where Barry, he said, well, I assumed he was going to say that iconic Jill is the master of unlocking line, which they actually took out in the new version, but in the original, Barry had these really corny lines. Barry is one of the main characters in Revelations 2. He's back for the first time since the first game, and I was talking about how I don't like in America it has this connotation, like thanks to the first game, of these super cheesy dialogue and funny quotes. Which I'm not sure if that's in the Japanese version, but I know that whoever is localizing this game for America, they super embraced the Barry quotes. Like, Barry he's the exact same character. He drops these just like super goofy, just like flat, cheesy lines at all times. And it's really funny. And it's part of why I love Resident Evil in the first place. Like, Resident Evil 4... so many good lines like that. Oh, hey, it's that dog. Yeah. Or there's so many other lines. Like it's like this very serious thing at sometimes, but at the same time, it's kind of tongue in cheek, and it's not super. Like it kind of knows that whatever is happening is super kind of goofy at some point. It walks this line that's kind of fun. But okay, I've talked enough about Barry. Let's talk gameplay. Did you think episode 2 was an improvement over episode 1, or what did you like about 2? Episode 2 of Revelations 2.
I liked episode 2 Revelations 2 because it was challenging. Like the Resident Evils, at least my favorite Resident Evils are 4 and 5, and both of them start with a very challenging village that you have to get through. Like that's the beginning of the game. And Revelations 2 didn't really do anything like that. Like it's a very typical like first encounter with the zombie. It's like you bust through the doors, jump scare kind of thing. But in episode 2, there's there's a segment that's kind of like the village that I really enjoyed. I think that episode 2 was much stronger than episode 1 as far as gameplay. It was much more challenging, but I will tell you there is a boss in the first half of episode 2 that is very, very difficult. And to me, it was a little frustrating. Like I live streamed it, so you can actually go watch that. But it was very difficult, and I don't think it was the fun kind of difficult. It was like I have to hit this guy in the head with every bullet I have, otherwise I just need to die and try again. Because it's ammo so scarce, and then he's a bullet sponge. But overall, like, this is my favorite Resident Evil that I've played since Resident Evil 5. Now, I didn't play the first Revelations. The co-op in this, we've been over this. This thing should have online co-op. Like, the campaign should have online co-op. No questions. That was...
Yeah, let me take this, because I want to gripe about this. Like, this game, and we were talking about this, is like they designed a co-op game, but they're like, hey, let's make a co-op game for single player, which that doesn't make any sense in itself. But basically, like, there's a lot, like, one character in each campaign is kind of defenseless. The other character has the guns and can murder people. But you have to use them in conjunction, because the person with the gun, they can kind of stun people with the flashlight, or they can point out enemies. They have, like, they do things. They have, like, melee attacks they can use as well, and they can help, like, finish off enemies. But most of the time, you're wanting to play as the person with the gun. Now, if you want to conserve ammo and you want to set up these attacks where you stun people with the flashlight, and then you swap characters, you go and kick the person, knock them down, and then you swap again and you execute them on the ground. That's really convoluted and annoying when you're not playing with another person.
Agreed.
When you're playing with another person, I can be like, Seth, I'm going to stun this guy, then you kick him and I'll go and finish him off. And we can be on that same wavelength, and we can plow through enemies quick, efficiently, and that's a lot of fun to be able to do that. When you're doing it by yourself, you're swapping between characters. When you swap between characters, the AI takes over your other character. That person sometimes will do what you want, other times will not. Sometimes will run the opposite direction of where you want them to go. And so guess what? When you swap again to deliver that final killing blow, your character's out of position. You run over there. By the time you get there, the zombie's up off the ground and attacking you. It works. The co-op in it works playing by yourself.
But it's not ideal.
But it doesn't. You cannot be as efficient. Like, it presents you with these systems, and it's like, if you want to be very efficient and, like, conserve ammo and do these things, this is what you need to do. Playing by yourself, it is very difficult to play the game efficiently. Like, you can get by, you can survive. Like, the AI is pretty competent for your partners. They're not awful. Like, they do things. But you can't do it well enough. And that's what really irks me. It makes no sense why this is not online co-op, because me and you would be playing this. Me and Seth would be playing, and we would have a lot of fun. We loved Resident Evil 5 because we loved getting those scenarios down to a science where we knew where everyone was going to come from. We knew how to co-op team attack people and do all this stuff. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating that this game is designed with that in mind, yet we can't do it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
You can tell this game does not receive the same tender love and care that their numbered entries do. And
I don't know who was caring for Resident Evil 6, because that one should have been.
Well, that's the thing. Like this, I will go on record saying this game is twice as good as Resident Evil 6.
Oh, it's way better. If you like Resident Evil, you thought 6 was awful and burned you on the come back. Resident Evil Revelations 2 feels like Resident Evil. It's not that Michael Bay Resident Evil you played in 6.
No rolling, really no spin naz, rolling on the ground, bull crap.
Yeah, and I think actually that's a big point I want to point out is, like, 6 like adopted these cover mechanics and more like third-person shooter mechanics. this game has some of that, but it goes back on it, and it feels more like Resident Evil 5, where it's very action heavy, and like you can crouch and stuff, but there's not people with guns. There's not cover mechanics. You don't have to hide behind things. There's not like rolling, which was really annoying in 6.
There's dodging.
Like when you would just like dodge. Yeah, you would. There's dodging, but like in 6, you would like roll on the ground, and you would do like crazy stuff like that. That was just like strange and didn't control well. 6 is a back to 4 and 5. It feels like 4 and 5. Just the dialogue feels like 4 and 5. The story feels like 4 and 5. It's Resident Evil. I know we both recommend it a lot. If you like Resident Evil, you definitely need to check this out. You know, support them. Show them that this is the Resident Evil. Show Capcom this is the Resident Evil you enjoy. You want more of this because this is what is good.
And this is only $25.
And it's a steal. Like, this is seriously I'm having so much fun, and it's not expensive at all. It's crazy. You need to get it. It's a really good deal. I'll go to the boss battle. My complaints aside from the co-op, I would say, are mostly just that boss battle with episode 2. And yes, the boss himself is very annoying, but one of my pet peeves with boss battles are bosses that continually spawn like minions or additional enemies. Guess what? That's what this guy does. There's just other zombies like constantly attacking you, which is really annoying to like. It's annoying when you clear a room, like you kill 5 of them, and you're like, okay, cool, now I'll finish off the boss, only to have 3 more people like jump down from this unobtainable spot and then just proceed to attack you. Yeah. And they just do that until you defeat the boss. Really annoying. That's not fun by any means. So I think that would be my only pet peeve. But yeah, the story also towards the end, Revelations 2, the cliffhanger, very interesting. Very Resident Evil. It's very like, I'm not gonna call it stupid. It's very just like, oh, Resident Evil. You keep being you. Yep. It's just that's the only thing you can say. You can just like say, bring it on. I'm on the roller coaster. I'm ready for whatever goofy thing you think of next. So yeah, we played that. Really enjoyed that. Did you play anything else this week?
Yes. So one of the free games for gold on Xbox right now is Rayman Legends. I actually played about 3 or 4 levels of that. Well, actually, it would be total like 5 or 6 levels. And I have to say, I really like that game. I've never played a Rayman game before. Never. And I like platformers. Like, I like Mega Man. I'm super pumped for Mighty Number 9. But this game was... It was originally a Wii U exclusive, and I played the demo on a Wii U when it first came out. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I didn't like the, touchscreen stuff and all that. But this is very fun because it feels like a game that I hate to say this, but it feels like a mobile game, and I mean that in the best way possible as far as like it's got daily challenges that keep you coming back. It has reasons to play levels multiple times, and it's broken up into levels like, Super Mario style, so it's not like a cohesive, like, start to finish, like you go to a hub world and you pick which level you want to go to. But there's daily challenges, there's reasons to keep coming back, and all of it is in the game. Like, there's no, like, it's something you would...
Companion app.
Yeah, you would think that there would be a lot of in-app purchase junk with this, but no, it's like you unlock things by collecting little sprites, the little currency in the game. And so it's very refreshing. I'm looking forward to, like, spending my free time playing this as just kind of a unwind and relax. But if you got an Xbox One, go get that. It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Put it on there. But
I played a couple levels. It's definitely fun.
Now,
I probably won't put much time into it.
I'll be honest, cool. Most of what I've been playing this week has been the Riot mode on Resident Evil Revelations 2, which we didn't talk about a whole lot.
You can talk about that briefly. It's kind of like Mercenaries.
Yeah, it's a lot like Mercenaries. Basically, you do the mission, and most of the missions that I've run into are kill all the enemies and get to the end. So you basically go into like area 1, kill all the enemies, then you get the key to go to area 2 and you kill all the enemies. I did do one mission that was like defend an emblem, so they try and run at the emblem. You have to kill them. That was much harder. But the coolest thing about Riot Mode is the characters level up and the guns upgrade. So you feel this sense of power. Like, this was one of the things that really drew me to Resident Evil 5, was the sense of power that you get as you continue playing the game. Like, the second playthrough is much easier than the first because you, A, know where everything is, but also you've got the upgraded guns and stuff. And that applies here as well. And each of the characters, you get to pick different characters from the game, and each of them have different abilities, and each of them have different, like, amounts of weapons. So, like, Hunk is one character. He has all the weapons unlocked from the start. But, he doesn't have very many abilities. Whereas Moira doesn't. She only gets 2 weapons early on, and then, she gets a lot of abilities really quickly. So you have to kind of pick your playstyle on that. But they give, each level has multiple medals that you can get, so you have to go back and replay. So I'm excited for co-op. Online co-op is coming to that mode. That's going to be fun. We'll play that online for sure.
Yeah, see, that is online co-op, but the campaign is not. So we're not going to whine anymore. But Capcom, I don't know what the hell you were thinking there. We like your game, but we still don't understand.
Again, but let me reiterate this. Riot Mode is part of the game, so $25 gets you Riot Mode as well. So, again,
yes, that
amazing value.
Yes, I mean, if you like Resident Evil combats, like Riot Mode, or not Riot Mode, is it Raid? It's Raid mode.
Oh, sorry, I said Riot Mode. It is Raid Mode.
Yeah, it's Raid Mode. Raid Mode is kind of just an endlessly replayable, it's just the combat portion of that game. It's really intense. It's fun. Yeah, and you get it. I mean, you could actually just buy the first episode, $6.99. Gives you access to a pretty decent chunk of Raid Mode. Yeah. Some of which will be unlocked with later episodes, so you wouldn't be able to play like stuff from episode 2 and 3. But it's a great value, and so far it's a really entertaining game. Not without its problems, but definitely.
I do think it's funny how they recycle environments from Resident Evil 6 into Raid Mode.
You go through and you're like, oh, hey, I remember this shithole.
Yeah, the school. I remember the like university classroom with the like layer, the auditorium style. That I remember that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is back.
So yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, that's it for me. What about you?
I played a couple other things. I think first I'll talk about Unreal Tournament. Some of you might know this. The next Unreal Tournament is actually a really interesting experiment. It's free to play. It's a collaboration between Epic Games, who develops Unreal and Gears of War, and they've done all that stuff, and the community. Basically, they're just saying, community, we'll help you out, but for the most part, you're gonna design Unreal. Like, here is the skeleton. Here is like the building blocks. And they have so much confidence in that game's like modding community, like that's been around for years, that these people will be able to make the game and like finish it. And that's basically what they're doing. You can sign up for it right now. You can play. I played some of Unreal Tournament. It's very early. There's like 2 actual maps, but there's a lot of like custom, placeholder stuff that you can still play. But that core gameplay, that core Unreal gameplay, is all there, very fast. All the classic weapons from Unreal are there. It feels like Unreal Tournament 2004, which I think is probably a lot of people's like favorite Unreal Tournament. So it's a lot of fun. I spent a couple hours on it. Like, finding a game is kind of challenging at this point because there's not a whole lot of people, and the matchmaking system is kind of strange and doesn't really, from what I can tell, doesn't really work and is kind of weird. But like I said, it's an alpha right now. It's functional, like you can kill people and like the core gameplay works, but everything else is still kind of very in development. So I put a couple hours into that. That's fun. I really like. I'm not good at it by any means, but it's very fun. I love playing Instagib, like CTF on. I can't even remember the name of the map. It eludes me right now, but it's basically the two bases kind of just like floating in space with like these 2 bridges that connect the two. It's just like this quintessential Unreal map. When you get the Instagib rifles, and it's just super fast paced, super fun. So I played a little bit of that.
Does it have the announcer voice?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Headshot.
I actually don't. I mean, it does. It has like, it's not a new one. I think it's just the old one, like put in the new game.
Good. That's perfect.
I was trying to think. I didn't get like very many like triple kills or anything like that, so I didn't get to hear his beautiful voice very often. But it's unreal. It's very much, it's just unreal. Excited to see how that goes. Grows and develops as the community builds on it. And the other thing I actually just picked this up yesterday because it was on sale at Best Buy for $25 on Xbox One and PS4. One of my favorite underappreciated games of last console generation, Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs has a definitive edition for PS4 and Xbox One with updated graphics, comes with all the DLC. If you don't know what this game is, think kind of like GTA, but it's in Hong Kong. You play as an undercover cop, and instead of an emphasis on gunplay, it's more kung fu fighting. Most of your encounters throughout the game are going to be fist fights, and it has a very Batman Arkham combat style where you press Y to counter, B to grapple, X to punch people and do stuff like that. So it's really fun. I love this game to death. It's just a great game. It's just, there's so much fun. Like, to me, there's nothing even that like super remarkable about it. It's just an all around an enjoyable game. It's just a game that it's like, I know I'm a game. I'm gonna have fun. This game, it's just about having fun. You kung fu fight people. You drive cars around. You jump out of your car and hijack other people's cars like mid drive, which is a pretty interesting mechanic. And it's got a very cool, kung fu kind of vibe to it. You have to infiltrate the triad, and you're playing both sides because you're a cop, and at the same time, you're trying to be a triad. So you have to walk that line, and you have, cop missions, and you have, crime missions. It's just a really cool game. The definitive edition, it honestly doesn't look a whole lot better than it was, on the 360 and stuff. But the big selling point is that it comes with all the DLC, of which I have played. I've already played some of the DLC on 360, not the other half, but I played one of the big additional content things. And the DLC is really good. It adds something fresh to the experience, and it's fun and entertaining. So I put a little bit of time into that. That's something I'll just be playing off and on in the future, just because I love that game. So I didn't, for $25, I didn't feel bad rebuying it. I thought that was a really good deal. So I'll be playing through some of that, and then I've been playing more Majora's Mask, or as I like to call it, Madge Mask.
Stop.
I love Leg of Zell Madge Mask. I can only speak in abbreviations now, but that's really cool. I got the Zora Mask. I'm doing the Water Temple right now. I think this game's growing on me. I've always enjoyed it, but as I put more time into it, I see definitely why some people will go as far to say is this their favorite Zelda game. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm really enjoying it. It's a fun ride.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that, but you're playing it differently than me. I think you sit down and you play it for chunks, right?
Oh yeah, I play for several hours at a time.
See, I'm playing off and on, on the go.
And see, I think that's actually a problem because the way that game is structured, with the whole time thing, it's very hard to play in small chunks. Because you basically you have to accomplish get to some point. You have 3 days, and you're okay, I need to accomplish A in these 3 days, and then I'll kind of be locked in. My progress I've attained something that will help me continue on without having to redo all this. So you'll get a new song or something, then you'll teleport back to the beginning of the 3-day cycle. But you can skip all that stuff you did before because you have the song, which will take you straight to the dungeon instead of having to do all that again. So it's really interesting, and that's how I play. I play basically for an hour or two, and I'll be okay, cool, I'll get the song. So then next time I play, I can just do the dungeon, and then next time I play, I'll do the dungeon. That'll take an hour or two. And then I'll be all right, cool. That's another substantial chunk knocked off. So that's kind of how I've been going through it. I mean, I'd say I'm probably a little more than halfway, maybe halfway through the game, maybe a little more. I've spent some time doing side stuff, but not a whole lot. But that's going to lead us actually into next week's game releases.
Oh, yeah. What's coming out?
I've been getting a lot of playtime on my 3DS, and I'm going to get even more playtime on my 3DS because Codename Steam is coming out next Friday. So 1 week from today. It's from the developers of Fire Emblem and Advance Wars. It's going to be a turn-based strategy game. We've talked about it a little bit before on the podcast. It's kind of like XCOM is how I would describe it. XCOM and Valkyria Chronicles, if you've ever played those. It's like a third-person shooter, but it's turn-based. Has like wacky American history sort of characters. It's very zany plot. Abraham Lincoln has a team of elite military fictional characters who battle aliens. I don't understand, but whatever. It's a fun game. I played the demo. It's fun. So that's coming out Friday. And then coming out on Tuesday. Now, just side note, we do not cover like every game that's coming out. We're probably not going to talk about. But we will pick like the bigger ones and the ones we're most interested in to talk about coming out next week. One of those is going to be Hotline Miami 2.
Everyone's favorite top-down crime simulator.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the premier indie games. Hotline Miami 1 made a really big splash when it came out. People have been waiting on 2 for a long time. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up when it comes out, but I'll definitely get it in the future, maybe when a sale comes out. Controversy is sure to come. The game has already been controversial with some of its scenes that it's depicted in they've depicted in like demos for press and things like that. Yeah, very disturbing, very violent. But as you're playing it, like, I mean, the same is the case with the first one. As you're playing it, it's just hard not to enjoy it. You're just like, there's something just very visceral. I mean, the gameplay is just really solid. It's just very unforgiving, but like when you finish that, it's almost like each level is like a puzzle. And once you finish it in that terrible spray of blood and gore, pixelated blood and gore, you're like, yes, and you have a sense of accomplishment there. And 2 is going to expand on that further, so that will be cool.
But if you're not a huge fan of action, blood, gore, and extreme things, you have another release that I'm really excited for, and I will be purchasing day one, Ori and the Blind Forest. This thing.
Is this for Xbox One?
This is an Xbox One exclusive.
Yes.
And it's got a very Braid vibe to it, like platforming. It's it's an indie game, and it's a lot about manipulating the environment. Like there's like sometimes the gravity will shift to one side or the other. But overall, this game's just beautiful from everything I've seen. So I hope it plays as well as it looks. But we'll see. I believe that's a Wednesday release, right?
Yes,
cool.
It is. Yep. Yeah, I don't actually know a lot about it, but like you said, all I know is that it looks gorgeous. It's just a beautiful looking game. I really wish that Xbox One actually had like the trial system that the 360 did, where you could try all these arcade games and things like that. Now, at some point, I appreciate that they've grouped all the games together and they don't like categorize them by indie or AAA games. I appreciate that, but at the same time, on 360, it was really cool that all arcade games, all games that were deemed as like arcade, you got a free trial for to try out. Because this would be one of those games where I would definitely try the trial before I would buy it. And that has popped up several other times in the past where I'm like, oh, I'd really like to try this game, but I can't because it doesn't have a trial function on Xbox One. So I kind of miss that, but yeah, I think you'll get that one day one. You can talk about that one, and based on what you say, maybe I'll pick it up.
I mean, I will always listen to reviews. Like, if reviews don't come out day one, I won't buy it day one. Like, I want to make sure the game isn't complete and utter garbage. But from what Microsoft, this is a big one they've been banking on as far as like indie games, lower cost indie game. But yeah, I'll play it. I'll let you know what I think. maybe even stream it over on twitch.tv/fanboyexplosion. So go over there, follow that right now.
Sounds good. Yeah, that'll be cool. And next week, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about as well, because PAX East is going to be going on as you're listening to this. So yeah, there'll be tons of news, probably some game announcements, tons of impressions on new games coming out, all that good stuff. So yeah, there are lots of gaming news coming down the pipe. I know we talk mostly about gaming things. Oh, actually, this is going to totally ruin our like flow here, but let's just throw this in real quick. We should talk about this earlier when we did our anime moment. Let's have our Star Wars moment of the podcast, shall we?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about this?
I didn't know. Do we want to talk about this on the patch notes, or do we want to have a full thing dedicated to this?
Well, if we're going to do that, we need to do it soon.
Let's talk about it now. No, let's talk about it later.
We could just cut this in. We can just talk about it now and cut it into its own episode.
We can do that.
So okay, let's wrap up patch notes.
Yeah. Hold on, let me make a note of where we're at.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so let's do our spiel. Let's finish patch notes. So that's it for another episode of the patch notes. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here same time, same place next week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fanboy Explosion. You can follow me at CLK Gamer.
And I'm at Darth Turner. Make sure that you head over to fanboyexplosion.com for all the latest and greatest from us. And we want to know what you think. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, comments, anything like that, you need to send them to fanboyexplosion@gmail.com or tweet them to us at fanboyexplosion. We'll talk about them here on the show. And like I said before, if you want to see us play lots of games, specifically a lot of Heroes of the Storm, and then
I was gonna say by lots of games you mean one
we
game
play a lot of Heroes, but I have a lot of time now, so I'm going to be able to stream some more. And so we'll, things like Ori and the Blind Forest, things like the Resident Evil episodes, we'll be streaming those on Twitch. So head over to twitch.tv/fanboyexplosion as well for all that good stuff. But also, I want to plug this. Go to our Instagram, because I'm going to start doing Instagram stuff too, and we're getting followers.
Oh, prepare yourself. Yeah. This could get bad.
For some sweet behind-the-scenes stuff. Instagram.com/
that'd be fun.
Fanboy Explosion.
If you have one of those fancy smartphones, you can use the Instagram. Man. I don't have a smartphone, so Instagram is...
That's beyond you.
It's beyond me. Seth will be handling the Instagram. So
yeah, well, I do a lot of the technical stuff too, so...
Any just random picture that you think is completely dumb or goofy, you have Seth to blame for that. I am not involved. You can send your complaints to Seth at on his Twitter. Don't spam me with complaints.
Well, what we can do is I'll make some videos of me playing with the amiibos, like when I was over at your place, and creating like little soap opera scenarios with the amiibos, right? Where,
wasn't Bowser Spanish?
Well, yeah,
I think he was.
Bowser was a Spanish. I guess he would be a what is a bullfighter? A Spanish bullfighter. I'm sure they have like a term for them, but he's a Spanish bullfighter, and he has fallen in love with Samus. But Link has felt
a matador.
Matador, that's it. Link has been betrayed because Samus is his girlfriend, and
it's his waifu.
And him and Bowser are arch rivals, and Bowser threw him off of a cliff, and Samus was like, no, but she actually was relieved because now the stress of her facade relationship can be removed from her life, and now she can be with Bowser forever. But Link comes back in a twist ending and kills Bowser.
I'm sorry you all had to listen to that, but I'm even more sorry that I had to listen to it the first time.
Well, there you go.
And now I've had to listen to it 2 times.
Listen to it 2 times.
So, that's at least you didn't have to listen to it twice like that. But yes, expect many shenanigans on the Instagram. Follow us on social media. We'd love to answer your questions. And as always, have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.